Rising borrowing costs again in the periphery. I've mentioned Portugal, I've mentioned Italy. How worried are you getting again about the South?
I'm quite worried because when the Fed, late in May, effectively fired the starting gun on withdrawal of QE, they've effectively raised the cost of capital for the entire world. Whereas the US has probably got a robust enough recovery to wear this, and a lot of the fiscal drag that it's currently suffering from is going to drop away next year. Europe is still in a very fragile, state. Frankly, Europe needs higher interest rates, like it needs a hole in the head.
And how much weight does the market put on these rather more positive PMI numbers, or is that something that falls by the wayside when we look at the borrowing costs and when we look at Mario Draghi and what he's going to say?
I think if you look at what the equity market's telling us is they're extremely cautious. I mean, one of the big calls from most analysts that I've seen this year is really to get into European cyclicals, position yourself for a European recovery. In the US, where there are tangible signs of economic recovery, economic growth, cyclicals aren't being bought. In Europe, they're still being shunned by investors, and that tells you that equity investors are very, very cautious about the growth story in the second half of the year as far as the Eurozone is concerned.
Accumulation of positive data in the UK seems to be continuing. British Chamber of Commerce has come out and said it sees the highest confidence since '07. I mean, one of the numbers I saw, manufacturing confidence up 51%. I mean, that's remarkable given the environment.
Yeah, it is, and it kind of doesn't feel like that on the ground. But yeah, the manufacturing number that you mentioned, I think it was the highest print that we've seen in the UK for 25 months. And also we had, highest mortgage approval rate in, I think, since December yesterday. And yeah, so we've had this quite a long string, actually, the last 2 or 3 months of on the whole, pretty positive economic data. And that may be behind sort of some of the comments that new Governor Mark Carney had in mind when he was talking to the press over the weekend, talking about rates are going to have to rise in the UK sooner rather than later.
We're going to get 7,000 for the FTSE by year end?
I think that's a big ask, to be honest with you. The easy money's being made in a lot of these equity markets, particularly since there's uncertainty about the trajectory of global interest rates. What we'll see is that some of the levels that we saw, the peak levels we saw a month or so ago, are likely to be strong technical resistance going forward.